This is happiness, to be everything at once. Be unblinded, be unlearned, be unbridled and unburned.
Hey everyone, welcome back to a brand new episode of Mood Prep. My name is Dave Nixon, and today I'm going to go through some ways that you can get rid of guilt. How nice is that? Be guilt-free. It's like those fucking food products that are completely marketed towards usually females, and it's like guilt-free. It's like, I didn't know guilt was a fucking macronutrient for one, but either way, it's great that you can buy stuff that's guilt-free. You know, how much stuff are we eating that's guilty, that just comes with guilt? Isn't that horrible? God damn. Anyway, so we're going to talk about what I will refer to today as guilt-free downtime. But what I'm referring to as guilt-free downtime is like our ability to have downtime where we don't feel like we're procrastinating or like we should be doing something else, but now I'm going to, be lazy or something along those times. It's like, it's the same as looking at nutrition, right, or exercise. It's like, let's take a leap out of the exercise sort of schedule. It's like, if you're trying to exercise 7 days a week, like hard as a mofo, 7 days a week, you know you're going to burn out, right? And that's just exercise. If you try and work your ass off 7 days a week, then the issue with just the hustle and the grind, like it sounds nice, it looks good on Instagram, you can show whatever the fuck you want on Instagram and social media, but at the end of the day, you're going to burn out. You're going to become less productive as well. So in programming, what we end up doing is we start to schedule in rest days, active recovery days, days where we pull back a little bit, right? You also look at athletes and they'll actually taper their training throughout the week, throughout the quarter, and throughout the seasons. And so we go, hang on a sec, well, if our training as a general population doesn't look like that, it should, for one. But two, it's really crucial for us as well to look at our, let's call it our hustle for the sake of using a term, right? Look at our work schedule or whatever we want to do, whatever we're doing that's a passion around our work schedule, anything along those lines. It's like, if all we do is go hell for leather and guilt ourselves into watching too much Gary Vee and telling ourselves just to hustle, the issue with that is that we then end up never having downtime, but we end up having the downtime. It's just that we're kind of in between this awkward, like I should do work, I feel bad, now I'm just going to binge. You're almost like mentally junk food. I'm trying to figure out a sentence there. You know what I mean? Binge on like Netflix. And it's the equivalent of just binging on your diet because you've been too restrictive. It's the same as like just going, fuck it, I'm not going to exercise, or you lose all, inverted commas, motivation to exercise. It's the exact same fucking thing. And so in the same way that we schedule in rest, and same that way we should be scheduling not cheat meals, but relaxed meals, we should also schedule in downtime. And if you've got work to do when downtime comes along, then the work can fucking wait, because the downtime is important. And the reason being is because work will always be there. You will not outwork work. Like, it's just there, and you can create it. It's always there. There's always something to learn. There's always something to do. It's never fucking going away. And so the most important thing here for your own sanity and also productivity with work is to schedule in downtime. And the crucial part of that, the crucial is because if you don't, once again, it becomes a slippery slope, and you will go down the way of you then, being less productive. Your work becomes kind of pervasive in relation to your home life and everything around that as well. It's like, if you want to become an athlete, you should train like an athlete, which means you need to schedule like one. If you want to become someone in your business or career or your job or whatever that's a high performer, then you need to schedule like a high performer. Don't schedule like a fucking 20-year-old kid on cocaine just trying to get everything done. It's like, be smart, use your strengths, and having that time where you can pull back. And like, I say all of this from the perspective that this is something that I have to consciously remind myself to do. especially once again looking back on the Enneagram, like type 7, I've got mad FOMO. I'm trying to work my face off and all that sort of stuff, and I really love what I do. But I know that I burn out and I get less productive, and then I become like, I procrastinate because I just fuck around on social media, and then I don't get to spend time with my partner, and then I'm not very productive with training, and everything goes that way. It's like taking control of your schedule. So this is, by the way, by taking control of your schedule, what I'm really referring to is actually owning your life. Because if you don't own, if you're not in control of your schedule, you don't actually own your life. Someone else does. The money actually does, to be honest with you. Right? How much can someone pay you to be unhappy? How much can someone pay you to just earn just enough? How much can someone pay you to have excuses? Like, that's where it comes down to. So, do you own your time, really? And if you don't, then that's something you might want to look at addressing. And so, one of the ways that you can go back and you can take control and own your time, which is owning your life, just to clarify, is by scheduling downtime. Whether that's also during the day. Like, for me, my days can be quite long, which I'm sure many people's are, but in the sense of like opening the gym some days I'll leave the gym at 10 o'clock at night, some days I don't work on the floor. So my days are inconsistent. And so what's so crucial for me there is to make sure that I have some control over what hours in the day are mine, that I can do the things that I need to do. And so if we lack the integrity to pursue this, what I would encourage you to do is to stop and think about what happens if you don't, and actually imagine. So just stop and imagine and think of where you're at with your life, and if it keeps going the trajectory where it's going, what does that look like? What does it look like with the income that you have, with the complaints that you have, with the people that you have around you, with the stress that you have, with the tension in your body, with all of this, with your family? What does it look like with your career and your money? What do you cap out potential-wise in relation to income? What about happiness? Like, where does that like relate into it? And I don't think happiness is everything. I think meaningfulness is significantly more important than happiness, because happiness will come and go. But if you're moving towards something that's meaningful, then you can bear the, I think it was Nietzsche that said, if you have a big enough why, then you can bear any how. And I think that's crucial. The purposefulness and the meaningfulness in that is so crucial, and sometimes can be overlooked. But the reality is that if you don't stop and breathe and actually think about where the trajectory of where you're going is headed, and be real and honest and clear about that, you're just going to turn 40 one day, or 50, or whatever age it'll be, but you know exactly what I'm talking about. And the difficulty of that is that it doesn't matter how much money you have at that stage, you cannot buy back those decades. There's no amount of excuses that can bring those decades back. There's no amount of anything. So being able to be present, live in the moment, be willing to know what you're willing to trade now for the future, but also knowing that the future never comes, not to be cliche, that it doesn't, because when you get there, if you just trade more shit for the future, then all that happens in your life is that you just work your fucking face off for somebody else to buy a caravan. Like, you got to make some decisions, So either way, I highly recommend, something to consider would be to look at your week. When do you schedule your downtime? And if you're not, it's time to take your time. Well, it's time to take your life back, really. Team, I'm out. Thank you very much for listening to this podcast. If you found this beneficial, I would love it if you would share it with someone else that you think would also find it beneficial. Otherwise, as always, until tomorrow, peace and pizza, kick today in the dick, slay the dragon. I'll see you soon.
To be everything at once, be unblinded, be unlearned, be unbridled and unburned.